Thank you very much. Well, nice to be here. It's probably about 40 years since I played a gig in Essen, I think. But where do you want? I'm going to start off with a song written by a friend of mine from New Zealand called Marcus Turner, who unfortunately died earlier this year. But it's a song about soldiers and how some people really like to look at soldiers when they're parading. They look really nice, they're dressed beautifully, and they're all in step. But that's not really what soldiers are for. They're for killing people and being killed. And that's what this song is about. It's called When the Boys Are on Parade. Past the houses, shiny boots and khaki blouses, stiff as the creases in their trousers, standing tall and straight and strong. They all keep in step together, glint of steel and flash of leather, braving every kind of weather as they boldly march along. You may dismiss it as a ploy for the enlistment of the boys, who'll be impressed to see the toys and play the games that can be played. And you may well prefer abstention, but I feel compelled to mention you do well to pay attention when the boys are on parade. Look at your sons before they're older, they'll be stronger, they'll be bolder, just a thing to make a soldier, and we'll turn them into men. And they'll be taught to follow orders, keep the peace and guard the borders, to protect us from marauders and defend us to the end. But the position they'll be filling is to be able and be willing to be killed or do the killing when there's a price that must be paid. And you may well prefer abstention, but I feel compelled to mention you do well to pay attention when the boys are on parade. In the pursuit of a community of decency and unity and equal opportunity, we stand prepared to fight if there's a threat to our position from aggressive opposition. Then with guns and ammunition we'll repel with all our might. We'll dehumanize and hate them, sending the troops to decimate them, as in the name of the nation all it stands for is betrayed. And you may well prefer abstention, but I feel compelled to mention you do well to pay attention when the boys are on parade. And merely the whim or intuition of an elected politician makes him a leave without conditions as the monster quits the cage. It's the machine that knows no quarter, dealing death and sowing slaughter, raping mothers, wives and daughters in an all-consuming rage. We may well decide we need it, and we'll pay to arm and feed it. Can you tell me who will lead it when the decisions must be made? You may well prefer abstention, but I feel compelled to mention you do well to pay attention when the boys are on parade. And some will wonder what's to fear and say there is no danger here, but there has never been a year when soldiers haven't been at war. And the eternal executions and the bloody revolutions and the ultimate solutions too have all been seen before. And there's always someone scheming, and sometimes at night when dreaming, in the distance I hear screaming, and in my heart I feel afraid. And you may well prefer abstention, abstention, but I feel compelled to mention you do well to pay attention when the boys are on parade. Past the houses, shiny boots and khaki blouses, stiff like creases in their trousers, tall and straight and strong. Is it any cause for pride that now the women march beside them? Will they have wiser gods to guide them in discerning right from wrong? 'Cause every step is a reminder of the threat that lies behind if we forget the ties that bind us when the decisive game is played. And you may well prefer abstention, but I feel compelled to mention you do well to pay attention when the boys are on parade. And as the procession passes by, consider the sight before your eyes, 'cause it'll be you they kill and die for, the call to the crusade. And you may love them and adore them, you may hate them and abhor them, but for God's sake don't ignore them when the boys are on parade. Thank you very much. Well, this is a song from County Tyrone, and it's about a character who lived there called Renardine. I don't know whether he was called Mr. Renardine or Lord Renardine, but he was half man and half fox, and he had a particular liking for young women. And in this song, he makes this girl fall in love with him and follow him over the mountain to some end that we are never told what it is. So while you're worrying about what's going to happen to the girl, I'll be playing an instrumental to try and take your mind off it. So it's called Renardine. The tune after it is called Johnny Cooig. One evening as I rambled down by Pomeroy, I met a pretty fair maid upon the mountainside. Says I, my pretty fair maid, your beauty shines clear on this lonely mountain. I'm glad to see you here. Kind sir, she says, be civil and my company forsake, for it is my opinion that you are a rake. And if my father finds out, his anger I would fear for keeping of your company all on these mountains here. No, I am no rake, but brought up in high degree, but I live a life of solitude here among the trees, and your beauty has ensnared me, I cannot pass you by. Do not be afraid of me all on these mountains high. This pretty little fair maid, she fell into a maze, as with eyes as bright as amber upon her I did gaze, and her ruby lips and rosy cheeks, they lost their former dye. She fell into my arms all on the mountainside. I had not kissed her once or twice till she came to again, and modestly she asked me, pray sir, what is your name? If you go in yon forest, my castle you may find. My name as old as history is Renardine. be fair, maid, don't let your father know. For if you do, 'twill ruin you and prove your overthrow. And if that you should seek for me, perhaps you'll not be fine. I'll be in my castle, inquire for Renardine. Her hair was black, her eyes were blue, her lips like ruby wine. And I smiled to gaze upon her sly bold Renardine. Sun and dark she followed after me, my teeth did brightly shine. As I led her o'er the mountain, sly bold Renardine. Thank you. Well, this is a song from County Antrim, and my mother came from County Antrim, and I've always wanted to be able to say that I learned these Antrim songs at my mother's knee, but unfortunately that wouldn't be quite true because my mother did not know anything about folk music. She was a musical comedy actress. And she was quite famous before the war. But after she had me, she gave up acting. Well, she gave up the stage. She never actually gave up acting because in the pubs around where we lived, she was famous. All her friends would gather there on a Saturday lunchtime or a Sunday lunchtime, and she would entertain them royally with songs and stories, and they loved her. They loved her. The only person who was kind of a bit of a blot on the horizon was her 10-year-old son, who was embarrassed by everything his mother did. But she never heard me sing these songs, and I like to remember her when I'm singing them. Sometimes she appears to me, if I'm nervous, sometimes my mother appears to me like in a think balloon in a comic, and she looks down at me and she says, "Andrew," she says, "don't forget the words." And I think, thank you, Mother, very, very helpful that is. So we'll try not to forget the words here. And it's a song called You Rambling Boys of Pleasure, or I Wish I Was in Belfast Town. You rambling boys of pleasure, give ear unto these lines I write. I own I am a rover. In rambling I take great delight. I cast my mind on a handsome girl, and oftentimes she does me slight. My mind is never easy, except when my true love is in my sight. Down by yon flowery garden, where me and my true love do meet, I took her in my arms, and unto her gave kisses sweet. She bade me take love easy, just as the leaves fall from the tree. But I, being young and foolish, with my own true love I did not agree. The second time I met my love, I thought that her heart was surely mine. But as the season changes, my darling girl has changed her mind. Gold is the root of evil, although it bears a glistening hue. 'Cause as many's the lad and the lass to part, though their hearts like mine be e'er so true. And I wish I was in Belfast Town, and my true love along with me, and money in my pocket to keep us in good company, liquor to be plenty, a flowing glass on every side. Hard fortune would ne'er daunt me, for I am young and the world is wide. Well, thank you very much. This is a song of mine that I wrote some years ago. I played a concert in Glasgow, And after the concert, I met this young man who told me how his father had worked, his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather and his great-grandfather, all the way back, had all been coal miners. And he told me the reason for that was that the coal miner never got paid enough money, and when his children were of an age where they were eating quite a lot, the children had to, mainly the boys, of course, had to earn a pay packet themselves. So they were taken out of school and given a job in the breaker's yard in the coal mine, where they sorted the coal from the rocks, and gradually they would gravitate to become coal miners themselves. And that was the way that generation after generation the coal mining industry was maintained. And he told me how his father had worked ridiculously hard at the expense of his health and eventually his life in order to make enough money to keep his son in school and also to send him to college so that he could break the generation after generation coal mining. Yeah, you know what I mean. But so I thought it was a good story, and I wrote this song called "A Prince Among Men." His dad was a miner and his granddad was too. There was never much question about what he might do. By the age of 13 he had laid down his pen and become a coal miner and a prince among men. My goal as a young lad from a bright early age was to follow my hero down in that cage. Fair lights and pit ponies were the stuff of my dreams, never thinking how hard my dad worked at the sea. Only a miner killed under the ground, only a miner and one more is found. Killed by accident, no one can tell. Your mining's all over, poor miner, farewell. Dad worked like a Trojan, his money to save. I'm afraid that he worked himself into his grave, and my schooling was paid for at the cost of his lungs. Dad was an old man at the age of 41. I never will forget how his face lit with pride. When I got my diploma, he was there by my side, and I tried to remember him as he was then. A rare moment of joy for a prince among men. Only a miner killed under the ground, only a miner and one more is found. Killed by accident, no one can tell. Your mining's all over, poor miner, farewell. An old watch and chain inscribed James Doyle never seemed much reward for a life of such toil, but I keep his lamp burning in this old Union card, and his bones rest here in this sunlit graveyard. My dad was a miner and a prince prince among men, well loved by his wife and his family and friends. And his hardship and toil gave me the one chance I had, and generations of slavery died with my dad. Only a miner killed under the ground, only a miner, and one more is found. Killed by accident, no one can tell. Your mining's all over, poor miner, farewell. Only a miner killed under the ground, only a miner, and one more is found. Killed by accident, no one can tell. Your mining's all over, poor miner, farewell. Thanks a lot. Well, I want to sing a couple of Australian songs. I'm a kind of frequent visitor to Australia. I like the place. Well, I like the place less, actually, now because of the government that's in it. But that's the same with everywhere, isn't it? But this is a song that I learned from a friend of mine called Kate Burke, who dug it out of the Australian National Library, added a chorus to it, and brought it back to life from when it was written in 1875. And it's about a shipwreck of a ship called the Danann, and the song is called The Wreck of the Danann. Wild and furious blew the blast, and the sky with anger frowned, when the Danann from Melbourne sailed to Newcastle port was bound. She had 83 poor souls on board, through the storm she cleaved her way, and it's sad to relate the terrible fate. 'Twas just off Jarvis Bay. And I long for you, I long for sleep, I dream of being warm. Through the night I have to sail to brave this raging storm. While ploughing through those angry waves, her propelling shaft gave way, and the waters they came pouring in, which filled them with dismay. All hands on board did all they could, till at length all hope was gone, and they hoisted a signal of distress on board the Danann. It was not long until a bark with a brisk and a lively crew came bearing down, and the captain cried, "We'll see what we can do." Came bearing down with might and main, in spite of wind and rain. They did all they could, as sailors would, those precious lives to save. And I long for you, I long for sleep, I dream of being warm. I pray the sea will let me be to face another dawn. Well, some in boats they tried to reach that kind of friendly bark, and numbers of their lives were saved, but the night came on pitch dark. What more could mortal man do then, when the storm increased full strong, and the rest now sleep in the briny deep, along with the Danann. And I long for you, I long for sleep, I dream of coming home. Tonight the sea, it buries me beneath this raging foam. Thank you very much. Well, this one is a song about a bush ranger, or a highwayman, I suppose you'd call him, whose name, this is the wrong half, whose name was Ben Hall. Ben Hall was killed by the police while he was kind of half asleep. They just shot him. A law had been passed in Australia. You could do that to various highwaymen whose names were mentioned. Anybody could kill them without warning. So that's how he met his death. And this is a song which was... I learned it from a really great Australian singer who died in 1982, I think, called Sally Sloan. And she was as good a traditional singer as you'd hear anywhere. Come all you young Australians, and everyone likewise, I'll sing to you a ditty that'll fill you with surprise, concerning of a ranger bold, his name it was Ben Hall, who cruelly murdered was this day, which proved his downfall. The traps pursued him night and day, from bush to hill and dale, until he faced his enemies and caused them to turn tail. No petty, mean, or pilfering act could brave Ben Hall endure, but robbed the rich and hearty man and scorned to rob the poor. One night as he in ambush lay out on the Lachlan plain, and thinking everything secure to ease himself had lain, when to his consternation and to his great surprise, without a word of warning, a bullet past him flies, and it was soon succeeded by a volley sharp and loud. with 12 revolving rifles all pointed at his head. Where are you, Gilbert? Where is Dunn? He loudly then did call. It was all in vain, they were not there to witness his downfall. Although he had a lion's heart, the bravest of the brave, those cowards, they shot him like a dog, no word of warning gave. That cowardly trooper Condell, a sergeant of police, crept up and fired with fiendish glee till death did him release. It's through Australia's pleasant climes Ben Hall will ride no more. His fame has spread both far and wide to many's a distant shore. For generations after this, if people will recall and tell their children of the deeds committed by Ben Hall. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, this is a song about the great magician and escapologist of the early 20th part of the 20th century, Harry Houdini. And Houdini, everybody knows who Houdini was. Hands up anybody who never heard of Houdini. There you go. You're alone, sir. But that just shows the fame of the man, even though he's been dead for 100 years now. But this is a song. Now, it has a chorus, but the chorus changes every time. So it's not much good for people to sing along to. But the last line is constant in the chorus. So I'd sing the first chorus and I'd show you what I mean. It goes kind of, Harry Houdini, the handcuffed king, he could escape from nearly anything. His fame and renown forever at the summit. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. If it could be done, Houdini done it. That's the line you have to sing, and it is actually in 7/8. So don't forget to drop the beat. If it could be done, Houdini done it. If it could be done, Houdini done it. Okay. Harry Houdini, the handcuffed king, he could escape from nearly anything. His fame and renown forever at the summit. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. Harry Houdini, Hungarian born, taking the whole wide world by storm, getting out of straitjackets and walking through walls. Houdini could do it if it could be done at all. He took 27 needles and he swallowed them clean. We examined his mouth, not a needle to be seen. Then he swallowed cotton thread, what a magical blend. The needles came out threaded when he pulled on the end. All locked and chained in the casket underwater, holding his breath much longer than he oughta, accepting every challenge and he never would shun it. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. jumping off a bridge with a big ball and chain. Manacled and shackled, sure the man's insane. 10 minutes passed and we thought he must have died. When he came to the surface, it's magic, we cried. 40,000 people witnessed the affair. We cheered, shook hands and threw our hats in the air. And everybody wondered just how he'd overcome it. But if it could be done, Houdini done it. Locked and chained in a big wheel rotating, a buzz of the crowd excitedly waiting. The world's admiration, Harry Houdini won it. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. Scotland Yard, they locked him in the cell, handcuffed and leg iron, thumb screwed as well. They said they'd be back in an hour or more, but he was free before they'd even reached the door. Oh, Harry Houdini, the handcuffed king, he could escape from nearly anything. And the detectives, one and all, they were standing around saying, God help us all if he's ever sent down. Locked and chained and buried alive, the audience afraid that he wouldn't survive. Whatever the risk, Houdini would run it. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. In New York City, he was all the rage. He brought Jenny the elephant onto the stage, and he says, now Jenny, say goodbye to the crowd. She waved her head and she trumpeted and bowed, but the audience said, for heaven's sake, a disappearing elephant, give us a break. In the twinkling of an eye, their doubts he'd banished, for into thin air the elephant vanished. Locked and chained in the casket underwater, holding his breath much longer than he ought. His reputation on the line, and he never would shun it. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. Before he died, he said to his wife, I've been escaping from chains the whole of my life, but now the greatest challenge that's facing me is escaping from the chains of eternity. So his loving wife and friends most dear tried to make contact every year, but Harry Houdini on that distant shore, obeying the concept of natural law, never appeared, no, never no more. Locked and chained, Houdini the brave, seemingly unable to escape from the grave. His fame and renown forever at the summit, for if it could be done, Houdini done it. Harry Houdini, the handcuffed king, he could escape from nearly anything. The world's admiration, Harry Houdini won it. For if it could be done, Houdini done it. If it could be done, Houdini done it. If it could be done, Houdini done it. Well, I'm going to do one more, take a break, and I've got a whole bunch of CDs and DVDs, which I'm going to be putting up there. And, you know, there's a very recent release of, well, you could hardly call it new, but it's a PLANXTY retrospective, and it's a CD of songs that we chose ourselves what to put on it, and it's a DVD which apparently runs more than 2.5 hours. I haven't seen it myself, but it's all the, well, I've seen all the shows. It's all the television shows we did from 1972 to about 1972 till 1981, I think. Yeah. But this is a song. I hope you'll be able to understand it. It's quite long, but it's a poem written by a man called Alfred Noyes, and it's called "The Highwayman." The wind was a torrent of darkness among the gusty trees, and the moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas. The road was a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, and a highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The highwayman came riding up to the old inn door. He'd a French cocked hat on his forehead and a bunch of lace at his chin, a coat of the scarlet velvet and breeches of brown doe skin. They fitted with never a wrinkle, his boots were up to the thigh, and he rode with a jewelled twinkle, his pistol butts a twinkle, his rapier a hilt to twinkle under the jewelled sky. Over the cobbles he clattered and clanged in the dark inn yard. He tapped with his whip on the shutters, but all was locked and barred. He whistled a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. But deep in the dark old inn yard, a stable wicket creaked, where Tim the ostler listened, and his face was white and peaked. His eyes were hollows of madness, his hair like mouldy hay, but he loved the landlord's daughter, the landlord's red-lipped daughter, and dumb as a dog he listened, and he heard the robbers say, "One kiss, my bonny sweetheart, for I'm after a prize tonight, but I will return with the yellow gold before the morning light. Yet if they press me sharply and harry me through the day, then look for me by moonlight, watch for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." Up he stood in his stirrups, he scarce could reach her hand, but she loosened her hair in the casement, and his face burned like a brand, as the black cascades of perfume came tumbling over his breast, and he kissed its waves in the moonlight, oh sweet black waves in the moonlight. He tugged on his rein in the moonlight and galloped away to the west. He did not come in the dawning, and he did not come at noon, and out of the scarlet sunset, before the light of the moon, when the road was a gypsy's ribbon, looped across the moor, the red coat troop came marching, marching, marching. King George's men came marching up to the old inn door. They said no word to the landlord, they drank his ale instead, but they gagged his daughter and bound her to the foot of her narrow bed. And two of them knelt at her casement with their muskets by their side. There was death at every window and hell at one dark window, for Bess could see from her casement the road that he would ride. They had bound her up to attention with many's a sniggering jest. They had bound a musket beside her with the muzzle beneath her breast. Now keep good watch, and they kissed her. She heard the dead man say, "Oh, watch for me by moonlight, look for me by moonlight. I'll come to thee by moonlight, though hell should bar the way." She twisted her hands behind her, but all of the knots held good. She writhed her hands till her fingers were fit with wet or blood. She stretched and strained in the darkness, the hours crawled by like years, till now on the stroke of midnight, cold on the stroke of midnight, the tip of one finger touched it, the trigger at least was hers. The Tip of one finger touched it. She strove no more for the rest. She stood up straight to attention with a muzzle beneath her breast. She would not risk their hearing, she would not strive again. For the road lay bare in the moonlight, blank and bare in the moonlight, and the blood in her veins in the moonlight throbbed to her love's refrain. Clot, 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 had they heard it? The horses' hooves rang clear. Clot, 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 in the distance were the deaf that they did not hear. Then down the ribbon of highway and over the brow of that hill, the highwayman came riding, riding, riding. The redcoats looked to their priming. She stood up straight and still. Clot, clot in the frosty silence, clot, clot in the echoing night. Nearer he came and nearer, her face was like a light. Her eyes grew wide for a moment, she drew one last deep breath. Then her finger moved in the moonlight, her musket shattered the moonlight, shattered her breast in the moonlight, and warmed him with her death. Stopped and turned to the westward. He did not know who stood, with her head bowed over her musket, drenched in her own red blood. 'Twas dawn before he heard it, and he slowly blanched to hear how Bess, the landlord's daughter, the landlord's black-eyed daughter, had watched for her love in the moonlight and died in the darkness there. Oh, back he rode like a madman, shrieking a curse to the sky. The white road smoking behind him, his rapier brandished high. Blood red were his spurs in the golden noon, wine red his scarlet coat. When they shot him down on the highway, down like a dog on the highway, he lay in his blood on the highway, the bunch of lace at his throat. Still of a winter's night, they say, when the wind is in the trees, when the moon is a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas, when the road is a ribbon of moonlight over the purple moor, a highwayman comes riding, riding, riding. A highwayman comes riding up to the old inn door. Over the cobbles he clatters and clangs in the dark inn yard. He taps with his whip on the shutters, but all is locked and barred. He whistles a tune to the window, and who should be waiting there but the landlord's black-eyed daughter, Bess, the landlord's daughter, plaiting a dark red love knot into her long black hair. Thank you very much. Well, when I was about 8 years old, I became a child actor. And I was quite a success. I made a film when I was 8 years old, and then I was a little later on. I was played leading parts on television, and I was brilliant. You know, I was brilliant. And I say that without any conceit, because like, when was the last time you saw a child actor who was not brilliant? We were all good at it. And when I became about 14, something terrible happened to my body. I think they call it puberty. And I became a different person altogether. I suddenly noticed how big my ears were, and that kind of thing. And so I became not quite as confident as I had been. But my parents had taken me out of school to become a professional actor by this time, so I had to respect them and continue my acting career. And when I was old enough to go into a pub, I started drinking in the pub that actors and actresses still go to in Dublin. It's a pub called Neary's, and it's at the stage door of the Gaiety Theatre. And it was an awful place, you know. In the early 1960s, actors and actresses, I don't know what they're like now, but they were really kind of, darling, how lovely to see you, kind of, you know, that kind of actor. And a friend of mine came in and he said, what are you doing drinking in this awful place? Come down the road to O'Donoghue's, where the musicians and the singers meet. And I went down that afternoon, and I never left the place after that. I was there for about 7 years it was a wonderful experience, and it formed the basis for the rest of my life, really, because I became a singer and a musician instead of an actor. But this is a song which describes a lot of the people who used to be there, and who, unfortunately, most of them are dead now, but that's the way of it. It was August 1962 when I first set foot in O'Donoghue's. A world of music, friends and booze opened up before me. I never could have guessed as I walked through the door just what the future had in store. A crossroads for my life I saw, lying there to taunt me. Well, I was an actor, I played straight, I played in the Gaiety, played at the gate. My mother in 1928 had trod those boards before me. I was getting tired of the company, an actor's life did not suit me. I said goodbye, you'll never see me back here in Neary's. Johnny Moynihan in his fusty coat was the first to play there in Merrion Row. He brought the bouzouki to Ireland, you know. Way storm along, John. Paddy and Maureen O'Donoghue, Kieran Burke, Luke Kelly, Ronnie Drew, Barney McKenna and me and you in the early 1960s. Well, Paddy and Maureen, very, very sound, though she liked to camp on the moral high ground. You had long hair, you were outward bound. Go down, you blood-red roses. Ronnie Drew in his fine suit of blue and a voice like gravel that would cut you in two. We thought he was Dublin through and through, but he blew in from Dunleary. Joe Ryan and John Kelly in the front bar, their fiddles are from the County Clare. Joe Heaney sings in the cold night air in the laneway after closing. Our sea shanties in perfect tune, and Seamus Ennis in the afternoon. It was all over much too soon, days of wine and roses. Well, Banjo Barney calling the tune, Mary Jordan's a whiz on the spoons. Up the Swanee and down the Broom, Barney's rising to it. They carry him bodily out to the jacks. He empties his bladder and they carry him back. He swallows his pint and he's right back on track. How the fuck does he do it? Any afternoon you might find there Luke Kelly and his banjo and his red hair. Oh, what times, what an atmosphere. What more could a young man wish for? How I'd spend my time was never in doubt. This is what life was all about. A bowl of soup and a pint of stout. August fog and mead shoot Marrakesh. Dave Smith never short of a witty phrase. Sonny Brogan loved the way he plays. Ted McKenna, God bless the days of Italian mandolinos. At closing time we didn't go far, just down the road to the Pike Coffee Bar. The usual suspects, there you are. Have yous no homes to go to? Putting up a note on the message board. Sweeney's men have a gig, oh Lord. We have to meet at 12 o'clock for the journey down to Galway. But the Sweeney van broke down at the door, and we didn't get started till 4:15 to the merry tune of the Dolan's snore. Haul away me Rosie. It all came to an end in 68. The rest of the world was lying in wait, and I started out for a new landscape. Set sail for the Pyrenees Mountains from the old North Wall. Sailed away and all my friends were there on the quay. Won't be back for many's a day, but it was bloody great while it lasted. It was August 1962 when I first set foot in O'Donoghue's, a world of music, friends and booze hastening towards me. I never could have guessed as I walked through the door just what the future had in store. A blueprint for my life I saw lying there before me. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this is a song I learned. I'm not quite sure where. Well, I learned this song originally from Johnny Moynihan, who was a fellow member of Sweeney's Men with me, and Johnny sang it, and it was called Johnson, and it's a very good version. But a few years ago, I discovered a new version of it, and different words, and I put it to a different tune, and I changed the title, and all in the hope that Johnny would never notice that I was stealing his song. C, G, it's an A you want. No, it isn't, it can't be an A. Hang about. C, D. C, D. Okay, well, we take a chance on that. I'm not sure if it's the right note or not, but anyway, this is how it goes. It's of 3 huntsmen brave and bold, as I have heard them say. They took 500 guineas, all on one market day. And as they rode home together o'er the Wicklow mountains high, oh, it's hold your horse, cries Johnson, for I hear a woman cry. I will not stop, says Wilson, I will not stop, says he, and nor will I stop, says Gilmore, for robbed I'm afraid we'll be. But Johnson, getting off his horse and searching the woods all round, till he found a naked woman with her hair pinned to the ground. Oh woman dear, how came you here for to span? Who that brought you here on this May morning with your hair pinned to the ground? It was 3 bold and struggling men with swords keen in hand, who that brought me here this May morning, my hair pinned to the ground. But my father, he's a wealthy man, and your kindness he'll repay. And I place my life all in your hand, protect me, sir, I pray. Well, Johnson, being a man of his own, being valiant, brave and bold, he took off the coat from off his back to keep her from the cold. And Johnson, getting on his horse, the woman got on behind. They rode down that lonesome valley, their fortunes for to find. And as they rode on along the way, as fast as they could ride, she threw her fingers to her lips, she gave 3 shivering cries. Out jumped 3 bold and struggling men with swords keen in hand, who commanded him to tarry, commanded him to stand. Well, I will stand, says Johnson, I'll stand then, says he, for I never was in all my life afraid of any 3. And Johnson killing 2 of them, not minding the woman behind. As he was at the other one, she stabbed him from behind. The day was free and a market day, the people all passing by could have seen that awful murder, could have seen poor Johnson die. Thank you. Well, this was a request. This was a request for a song which I used to do. I haven't done it for a long time, so we'll have to keep our fingers crossed that I can remember how to do it. But you know, there's a lot of songs which you could not do to order because you just haven't played them for a long time. But some songs are easier to remember. I couldn't tell you why, but this is a song which is never too far away from my memory, and it has a bit of a story behind it because, you know, when I was a young man, when I first started touring in Germany, I was a dreadfully romantic person. Oh. And thank God those days are over. But I fell in love with this girl called Karen, who lived in a small village outside of Esslingen, outside of Esslingen. And I met her where? I forget where I met her. Anyway, I met her in Ireland. Yes, and she said, "Oh, you must come and visit me." So I thought, yes, I'd love to. I love you. And so she said, 2 days before I was going to hitchhike down to Essen and meet her, and she said, I live in a very conservative village, and my parents are probably the most conservative people in it. So she said, would you mind if you cut your hair? So I didn't mind at all, anything for you, Karen. But so I cut my hair, and then I thought, the day before I left, I thought, well, maybe I'll bring a suit, and then her parents will really kind of think that I'm okay. And I didn't have a suit, but my next door neighbor said, he said, I have a suit. I'm sure it'll fit you. We're about the same size. He says, I leave it in a brown paper parcel in the hall of your house. He lived next door. And you can pick it up when you're going to the ferry in the morning. So I picked it up and I put it in my rucksack, and I hitchhiked down to Essen. And when I got there, I rang up Karen and I said, "Hello, I'm here." She said, "Okay." She said, "My mother and I will come to meet you." And I thought, "Your mother? Okay." So I went into the men's toilet and opened the brown paper parcel that my friend had left me the suit in. And this is in the middle of summer, and it was a Donegal tweed suit. And I don't know if anybody can remember, it was that particular color green that all toilets after the war were painted with this green paint. And when I put it on in the toilet and I looked at myself in the mirror, and all I could see was my face and my hands, because background was the same color. So what could I do? So I went out and I met her mother and herself, and I realized immediately that it was not a success. So this was the song that I wrote miserably. I wrote a lot of miserable songs in those days, and this is the miserable song about. It was originally called "Time Will Cure Me," but it was recorded wonderfully by Nickel Creek, and we called it Sabra Girl, because she was. Her parents were from Israel, and Sabra apparently is a prickly plant that grows in the Negev desert. And she was kind of prickly, so I called it after that. Lonely the life that once I led, strange the paths on which we tread, led me to you, unlikely but true, Sabra girl, clouding my view. Rainy the day, the first time we met, deep was the talk as we lay on your bed. It didn't seem wrong to sing a sad song, Sabra girl, soon you'd be gone. Early the morning, and sad the goodbye, with a wave of your hand, a smile of your eye. So lately did meet, no sooner to part, Sabra girl, Sabra girl, you must part. Rosie, the lines that you wrote with your hand, reading between them to misunderstand. I made the mistake you said not to make. Yes, reading your letters, conviction did grow. I thought it a chance, I knew I must go. It's hard to believe I could be so naive. Sabra girl, flattered but to deceive. And now you just told me that friendship is all. I'm forced to repair the breach in my wall. Illusions and dreams, as usual it seems. Sabra girl, they have been my downfall. Lonely the life and dismal the view. Closed is the road that leads to you. Since better can't be, as friends we'll agree. Sabra girl, time will cure me. Can't remember the end of it. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And whoever asked me to do that as a request, thank you very much. Well, this one is a song which started its life as a song called Patrick Street. And in Patrick Street, a sailor comes home from sea and he goes straight down to he's been on a long voyage, he gets paid off, and he goes to the bar, which is on the docks, and he gets absolutely, totally drunk. And when he can barely stand up, he remembers that he'd promised himself some female company for the night. And it's a bar on the docks, so there's any amount of female company available. And he gets up with this girl, goes back to her place, falls fast asleep, and when he wakes up in the morning, she's gone, and she's taken his clothes and his money. And I sang this once in New Zealand, and I have a good friend there called Bob Bickerton, who has a very deep laugh. You can hear it. You can hear it among thousands of people. And I sang the song, and I listened for his laugh, and I did not hear it. And I said afterwards, I said, Bob, you didn't think that song was very funny, did you? And he said, no, Andy. He says, no. He says, that kind of thing happens in New Zealand all the time. He says, that's not funny. So he wrote this song, which is called The Close Shave, and it's now about gold miners in New Zealand. It is kind of, I think it's funny. I hope you'll understand it. If you don't, I'll explain it afterwards, which kind of would be a bit sad, but never mind. Come gather round, you diggers all, who work the gold fields rare. It's of a trick was played on me, and it's caused me to despair. I came to town the other day, me precious gold to trade, and there I met a pretty maid who did me heart betray. And her lips were red as roses, her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. We went into a public house, and there we did imbibe whiskey and strong porter and dreadful stuff besides. 'Twas then she asked me up to bed, to which I did agree. But truth to tell, I fell asleep before she'd earned her fee. And her lips were red as roses, her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. When I awoke next morning, no trousers could I find, but scattered all around the room were women's clothes so fine. Me jacket, shoes and gold was gone, and all that's left behind was a woman's dress, a yellow wig and a shaving kit, not mine. Her lips were red as roses, her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. Why did she need a wig? Why did she need to shave? 'Twas then the truth that struck me in a fit of blinding rage. Me pretty maid's a man, I cried, and thanks be I fell asleep, for I'd rather lose a bag of gold than wake up with that creep. Her lips were red as roses, her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. To venture in the street again, I cautiously inclined. I had a shave, put on the wig, and wore the dress so fine. And as I walked along the street, a digger gave a wink, and I thought of all the gold he had, and I offered him a drink. Oh, her lips were red as roses, her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. Yes, her lips were red as roses, and her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. Now you may think it's sinful, you may think it bold, to take advantage of the lads who struggle for the gold. It's easy putting on a dress and drinking whiskey neat, but leave your shaving kit behind when they are fast asleep. Oh, her lips were red as roses, and her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. Yes, her lips were red as roses, and her eyes a deep sky blue, hair as yellow as the gold she stole from me and you. I don't think I like that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Now, oh yes, I'm going to play that, yeah. What's that?
It's a coffee machine.
Oh, I got it.
I'm sorry.
The bloody fridge, is it? Ah, thank you. No more cold drinks. Oh, the coffee machine, was it? Okay. Well, this one is a song, another romantic song of my youth. In 1968-69, I set out for Eastern Europe, and I traveled on the sunburnt thumb, as Woody Guthrie used to say. And I was traveling around Eastern Europe for about a year and a half. And on my way back, I stopped in the town of Ljubljana in Slovenia. And I only stopped there just to make a break. Whoever had given me a lift there drove me into the center of Ljubljana, and I had a coffee with him, and then he drove off, and I stayed behind. And I was sitting outside a pub or a restaurant, which is still there, called Figovets. And I noticed while I sat there drinking my coffee that the town was full of these beautiful, beautiful young women. And I actually eventually stayed there for about 4 months. And I fell in love with all these girls, and they were lovely. They liked me very much, but they were not about to give their hearts to some rambling Irishman who was about to leave and would never be seen again. So they were cleverer than I was, but this is a song which I wrote, and they were lovely. So this is called As Good As It Gets. It's as good as it gets, sitting outside Figovets, gazing at the girls in Ljubljana. There is Svetka and Slovenka, Živa and Radenka, but the girl to buy a beer is Mariana. On Sundays at the skating, wishing only that I might be mating Petya Onovenka, how divine. Or watching Maya floating round the ice blue trouser suit, very nice, her yellow hair streaming out behind her. At the dance in Hala Tivoli on Saturday's great revelry, we danced to Mladi Levy, the young lions. Oh, Milena, she is supple, and we make a handsome couple, but Ivanka is the girl I've got my eye on. It's as good as it gets, sitting outside Figovets, gazing at the girls in Ljubljana. There is Svetka and Slovenka, Živa and Alenka, but the girl girl to buy an ice cream is Jana. I was feeling kind of fluky as I played upon my Greek bouzouki, trying to impress Anna Maria. I was singing her a love song, I might as well have been King Kong. She hadn't the foggiest idea. But Ceviche will always be a happy memory for me, washed down with a jug of Chernovino and fried potatoes, goulash sauce, scarcely sexual intercourse, but Vlasta has the money for this Beano. It's as good as it gets, sitting outside Figovets, gazing at the girls in Ljubljana. There is Svenka and Slovenka, Živa and Radenka, but I think I've got a crush on Tatiana. With Vida through the woods at night, walking arm in arm by moonlight, she wears my ring upon her finger. But her mother leaning from the window, shouting out in foreign lingo, makes me think perhaps we should not linger. So my flimsy tent in the dark, we pitched it there in Tivoli Park and spent the night surrounded by the weather. Oh, for miles around the storms of fray, with lightning and with thunder played. The rain lashed down as we lay close together. We're the only creatures in this world, warm and dry, me and my girl, as the storm the countryside does batter. But before the early dawn we rise to hide ourselves from prying eyes, facing the new day's another matter. On the Sunday I departed, it was early in the morn. I started heading for that road I knew so well. When I reached the outskirts of the town, I scarcely even turned around. My future lay ahead, I broke the spell. But it's as good as it gets, sitting outside Figovets with Dasha, Katerina and Ivana. In my memory you will always be a bevy of the greatest beauty. Bless the days I spent in Ljubljana. Oh, happy days I spent in Ljubljana. Thanks a lot. Well, about time I sang something traditional. This is a song I learned from a great singer called Bridget Tunney, and it's called As I Roved Out. As I roved out on a bright May morning to view the meadows and flowers gay, whom should I spy but my own true lover, as she sat under yon willow tree. I took off my hat and I did salute her. I did salute her courageously. When she turned around, sure the tears fell from her. saying, false young man, you have deluded me. A diamond ring all I gave you, a diamond ring to wear on your right hand. But the vows you made, love, you went and broke them, and married the lassie that had the land. If I married the lassie that had the land, my love, it's that I'll rue until the day I die. When misfortune falls, sure no man can shun it. I was blindfolded, I'll ne'er deny. And at nights when I go to my bed of slumber, the thoughts of my true love run in my mind. When I turn around to embrace my darling, instead of gold, sure 'tis brass I find. And I wish the Queen would call home her army from the West Indies, America and Spain, and every man to his wedded woman, in hopes that you and I will meet again. Thank you. Well, this is about Sweeney's Men, the first band I was ever in, and we were a trio. In the summer of 1966, we set out to travel around Ireland in a red Volkswagen van, which had cost us £8.12 and 6. And it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it was quite a lot of money for us at the time. And it had seen better days. It was a bit of a horrible-looking thing, and the oil came out of it. In fact, the oil came out of it so frequently that Johnny Moynihan, who was only one of the three of us who knew something about engines, bought used oil from a garage that he bought it by the kind of 50-liter tank, you know. And so every 10 or 15 miles, we would stop and pour more of this thin oil that had been used. And eventually, of course, you can guess what happened. The engine seized, and that was the end of the van. But This is a song full of nostalgia and full of love because it was just a really great time. It's called My Heart's Tonight in Ireland. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet mill town Malbay, and it's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. In the town of Scariff, the sun was shining in the sky when Willie Clancy played his pipes and the tears welled in my eye. Many years have passed and gone since the times we had there, but my heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet mill town Malbay, and it's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. That August in Kilrush, when the rain was lashing down, and our hotel was that hay barn on the outskirts of town. We were all sick and feverish, and Dolan had the flu, but Johnny produced some whiskey and the sun came smiling through. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet mill town Malbay, and it's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. Those nights in 6 Mile Bridge when the songs and music flowed, and when it came to closing time, sure the lights were turned down low. And the sergeant from Kilkishen, he would buy us all one more, and we never left that pub before the clock was striking 4. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet mill town Malbay, and it's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. Lahinch and Ennistimon, Liscannor and Kilkee, but best of all was Milltown when the music flowed so free. Willie Clancy and the County Clare, I'm ever in your debt for the sights and sounds of yesterday, a shining memories yet. My heart tonight is far away across the rolling sea, in the sweet mill town Malbay, and it's there I'd love to be. So long ago and far away, nothing can compare. My heart's tonight in Ireland, in the sweet County Clare. In the days of Sweeney, in the sweet County Clare. Thank you. Well, this is another County Antrim song. It's called Farewell to Kelswater. Here's a health to you, bonny Kelswater, where you'll get all the pleasures of life, where you'll get all the fishing and fowling, and a bonny wee lass for your wife. Oh, it's down where yon waters run muddy, I'm afraid they will never run clear, and it's when I begin for to study, my mind is on them that's not here. For there's this one and that one may court him, but if anyone gets him but me, it's early and late I will curse them that parted lovely Willie from me. Oh, a father, he calls on his daughter, two choices I'll give unto thee. Would you rather see Willie's a ship a-sailing, or see him hung like a dog from yon tree? Oh, father, dear father, I love him. I can no longer hide it from thee. Through an acre of fire I would travel, along with lovely Willie to be. Oh, it's hard was the heart that can find her, and took from her her heart's delight. May the chains of old Ireland bind around them, and soft be their pillows at night. Oh, yonder's a ship on the ocean, and she does not know which way to steer. From the east to the west she's a-blowing, she reminds me on the charms of my dear. Oh, yonder my Willie will be coming, he said he'd be here in the spring, and it's down by yon green shades I'll meet him, and among yon green bushes we'll sing. For a gold ring he placed on my finger, saying, love, bear this in your mind. If ever I sail from old Ireland, you'll mind I'll not leave you behind. Farewell to you, bonny Kelswater, where you'll get all the pleasures of life, where you'll get all the fishing and fowling, and a bonny wee lass for your wife. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, I seem to have made it through to the end. And, don't be like that, Andy. But this is a song which I used to, well, I did it before PLANXTY, and I did it during PLANXTY, and I'm doing it after PLANXTY. So, and thank you very much for coming tonight. It's been most enjoyable for me, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Martin, thank you very much for a great sound.
Thank you.
Makes all the difference. A blacksmith courted me 9 months and better. He fairly won my heart, wrote me a letter. With his hammer in his hand, he looked quite clever. And if I was with my love, I'd live forever. But where is my love gone, with his cheeks like roses, and his good black billycock gun, decked around with primroses? I'm afraid the scorching sun will shine and burn his beauty, and if I was with my love, I'd do my duty. Strange news is come to town, strange news is carried, strange news flies up and down, that my love is married. I wish them both much joy, though they can't hear me, and may God reward him well for the slighting of me. Don't you remember when you lay beside me, and you said you'd marry me and not deny me? If I said I'd marry you, it was only for to try you. So bring your witness, love, and I'll not deny you. Oh, witness have I none, save God Almighty, and may He reward you well for the slighting of me. Her cheeks grew pale and wan, it made her poor heart to tremble, to think she loved a one, and he proved deceitful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, that's very nice of you. Thank you. Okay, well, I'll do my my homage to Woody Guthrie song. I used to write to Woody when he was in hospital in New Jersey, and he was unable to write back because he had a genetic disease called Huntington's, well, at the time it was called Huntington's chorea, now called Huntington's disease, or HD. But it's a kind of, began to shake and never stopped shaking, worse and worse and worse. And it was an awful thing that happened to him. And he was about 15 years in hospital. Nothing to do, nothing, no cure, nothing. It was something he'd inherited from his mother. But there was a couple who used to take him out at weekends to visit friends and whatever, because he wasn't actually ill. I mean, he was, yeah. He had this dreadful disease, but it wasn't actually kind of dangerous to be out or anything like that. So, but he used to tell them. They would write to me and he'd tell them what answers to questions I was asking, things like that. So, and one day, I think the height of my the high point of my youth was that there was a little mimeographed couple of pages would come every now and again, maybe 3 times a year from the Woody Guthrie, it was called the Woody Guthrie newsletter. And one time it arrived and I opened it, it was kind of quite a big thing, and it said, Woody would like to thank, and there were all these people, you know, Pete Seeger and Jack Elliott and all these, Oscar Brand, all these famous people of the early 60s. And I think as I looked through them, I thought, I'm not going to be here. I don't. Why would you be here? Why would you? But at the bottom it said, and to Andy from Woody personally. So, wow. Yes, quite something. I have that framed in my house. But anyway, this is a song which you are expected to sing the chorus that Woody wrote in 1943, which goes like this. All of you fascists bound to lose. All of you fascists bound to lose. Yes, all of you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. Kind of easy. Woody was did not waste words, and so please sing that when we get to it, will you? I was just a small-time country boy when I left that dusty town. Route 66 to the westward, and I hopped an old freight town. California, here I come, by the side door Pullman and the sunburned thumb. They called us Okies, low-down bums. The police on us frown. Never tire of the run, never tire of the rolling wheel, never tire of the ways of the world. Way out yonder's a-calling me, and the dark road leads me onwards, and the highway, that's my code. The lonesome voice that I heard in my head said, never tire of the road. California to the New York Island, me and my guitar. And we played in many's a hobo jungle, many's a skid row bar. Standing out in the wind and the rain, that lonesome whistle is a sweet refrain when you're waiting for an old freight train that carries an empty car. Never tire of the road, never tire of the rolling wheel, never tire of the ways of the world. Way out yonder's a-calling me, and the dark road leads me onwards, and the highway, that's my code. The lonesome voice that I heard in my head said, never tire of the road. Shipped on board of a Liberty ship to sail the ocean blue. We were carrying guns, TNT, D-Day soldiers too. All of the men on board agreed with Cisco, Jimmy Longy and me, and our song rang out across the sea. You fascists bound to lose. Oh yes, all of you fascists bound to lose. All of you fascists bound to lose. Yes, all of you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. Oh, all of you fascists bound to lose. Sing it louder. All of you fascists bound to lose. Yes, all of you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose, you fascists bound to lose. take you by surprise. The dirty smell of the politician and the man with the greed in his eyes. One big union, that's our plan, and the IWW's your only man. The flames of discontent we'll fan for the cause that never dies. Never tire of the road, never tire of the rolling wheel, never tire of the ways of the world. Way out yonder's a calling me, and the dark road leads me onwards. On the highway, that's my code. The lonesome voice that I heard in my head said, never tire of the road. All of you fascists bound to lose. All of you fascists bound to lose. Yes, all of you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. Thank you. Thank you. Well, next year it's 40 years since Paul Brady and myself made the album called Irvine and Paul Brady. And we're playing 7 or 8 gigs in Ireland with Donal Lunny and Kevin Burke, the two people who played on the album. And, so if you've got nothing to do next May, fly over to Ireland. You bold sportsman, and listen to my story about noble Stewball, that gallant racing pony. Arthur Marble was the man that first brought Stewball here, but to run with Miss Greasel on the plains of Kildare. And the fame of his actions we've heard all before. Now he is challenged by young Mrs. Gore to run with Miss Greasel, that handsome grey mare, for 10,000 gold guineas on the plains of Kildare. And the cattle they were brought out with saddle, whip and bridle. The gentlemen did shout at the sight of the gallant riders. In viewing the cattle just as they came there, oh, they all laid their money on the Monaghan grey mare. And the order it was given, and the way they did fly, Stewball like an arrow, the grey mare passed by. If you had been there to have seen them going around, you'd have thought to your heart their feet ne'er touched the ground. And when at last they came to halfway round the course, Stewball and his rider began to discourse. Says Stewball to the rider, can you tell to me how far is that grey mare this moment from me? Says the rider to Stewball, you're running great style. You're ahead of the grey mare, almost half a mile. If you keep your running, I vow and I swear that you never will be beaten by the Monaghan grey mare. Stewball passed it quite handy. Horse and rider both called for sherry, wine and brandy. They drank up a health to the noble grey mare, for she emptied their pockets on the plains of Kildare.
Good.